as it stands, I think Wonder Woman is currently like the highest rated comic book movie of all time on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, the score could go down with like 180 critic reviews. That's pretty amazing. Does that mean that the war between Marvel and DC fanboys can finally be over? Because I want people to enjoy both of these sets of films, and as I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of the other DC films. I thought Man of Steel was pretty terrible as like a setup for this entire universe. Batman v Superman I didn't like. I enjoyed Suicide Squad. I thought they got better with every movie. I thought Suicide Squad had those elements, but it still had issues, like quite a lot of them. It wasn't a perfect movie. I bought it on Blu-ray because I enjoyed it, but anyway. Wonder Woman is the movie that has finally kicked off the DCEU, because this movie is awesome. It's a perfect superhero movie. It's not a perfect movie, but as a superhero comic book movie, it works, and it works really, really well. And I was not expecting it. The trailers didn't excite me too much, and then I saw those scores and I was like, okay, they've got to go down, right? I mean, this movie can't be as perfect as, you know, they're saying it is, when the trailers really underwhelmed me. But then I watched the movie yesterday. I saw it on like one of its first screenings, and my god, this movie is so good, you know. I think every bit of praise it's getting, it definitely deserves. You know, I can't say much bad about this. When Gal Gadot was first cast as Wonder Woman, back when Batman v Superman came out, I was thinking, she's a model. She's an actress from the Fast and Furious movies. Like, how can she be this badass Amazon warrior? And then I saw Batman v Superman, and like I said, wasn't a fan of the movie. She was a real good standout in that film. She only had 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes, and I really wanted to see more from her. And now we get a whole movie based around her. And it says a lot when you've got a movie with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, the trinity of the DC universe. I love the comics, I love the characters in the comics, and you've got that movie, and it doesn't work so well. And then you put Wonder Woman in her own film with a brand new director, and it's really good. I feel like DC have got their stride now. If they carry on movies like this, if Justice League is as good as this, and the other solo movies are as good as this, then I am down to watch all of those, because I was thinking of Wonder Woman as maybe the last straw. If they don't make this movie great, then I don't know what else to say. But, you know, it got me excited for Justice League, I'm not going to lie. So anyway, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk a little bit about the plot. So this movie starts out on this Amazon island with Wonder Woman as Diana Prince. As a young girl, she's training to become a warrior to defend herself. I won't say why, because there are spoilers that I will talk about in a spoiler-free review, but let's cut a long story short before I do end up getting into accidental spoilers. Chris Pine's character, Steve Trevor, crash lands, and Diana saves him, but she's never seen a man before, so she's dumbfounded, and he says there's this big war going on, World War One to be exact, and that he needs to stop it. So she thinks, this could be perfect for me as a warrior to stop this war. So they travel to London together, and that's basically it. This is the origin of Wonder Woman, but at the same time, what this movie does right, most origin movies have a lot of setup, like so much that it gets a little boring, and then you've got that final action scene where the superheroes finally got their stride and they're finally in costume, and you love that scene, like, but you can't help but think, it's been a long setup, I wish we got to see more of this. Wonder Woman has Diana as Wonder Woman from basically the beginning, but it's the origin because she's never gone out and done her thing before, she's never gone out and fought before, so that's the origin of the movie. I mean, you do get to see how she became this you know, warrior goddess, and they do explain it, but again, that's something for the spoiler talk, so let's not get into that. Like I said, Gal Gadot, she does so well in this role. Like I said, from Batman v Superman, I watched it and I was thinking, I do want to see more of her. I wonder what they can do with her. Can she carry a film? She can carry a film. She is really good. She's badass. You know, she's got the physique for Wonder Woman, and she's gorgeous, so that helps. But just everything about her character, I bought her as Wonder Woman, and that was great. And as well as her, Chris Pine is really great in this film as Steve Trevor. He's a great supporting character, but he also has his own arcs, and they never like sideline him. Obviously, this is Wonder Woman's movie. It's not about Steve Trevor, but Steve Trevor has a lot to do as well. They don't just use him as a side character like they do with some of the female characters in the Marvel movies. So I like that as well. He was definitely a better supporting character than Lois Lane, that's for sure. But yeah, then when we get into the action, it really hits. Like, there are some really good dialogue-based scenes. It has a good blend between dialogue and action. There's a really good scene, which is one of my favorite scenes, when they're first traveling to London, Steve Trevor and Diana, and they're talking just on this boat, and you look at them both and you really buy what they're saying to each other. The chemistry is perfect between the two of these guys. They really do well with each other. Just talking to each other is great. And then once the action comes in, you know, those scenes combined with that make this movie just so enjoyable. You know, when we first get to London, it's a fish out of water scenario. Diana's trying to come to terms with what's happening in the world. And I feel like that's what they should have done with Captain America after First Avenger, but they do it really well with Wonder Woman. I sort of describe this movie as a mix between Thor and Captain America, the First Avenger, whereas it's not the same movie, it's a completely original new movie, but you've got the fish out of water scenario like Thor. You've got a person who's out of their comfort zone, out of their perfect paradise, and in this world that we know, well, I guess we don't know that version of London, but we know that version of the world, I suppose, and she doesn't. Same with Thor. And then you've got the World War element, which is very Captain America-esque, but the action's very different and it takes its own turn, which I really liked, because this could have been an easy copy of Captain America the First Avenger. I'm just glad it wasn't. And yeah, there's a really cool scene at one point when they're just fighting these troops, and you've got Ewan Bremner, who plays Spud in Trainspotting, as the sniper, and then Wonder Woman's just like, nah mate, and she just like dashes up there and destroys this dude. It's great. It's really great. And the final action scene, yeah, it's not perfect. There are problems to be had with it, namely the CGI is not always perfect, but I can forgive that fact for the fact that most of this movie was gritty hand to hand or sword to shield or whatever. It was gritty combat. And I can forgive the fact that there was a little bit of an overabundance of CGI because they didn't use it to a full extent for the entire movie. They actually let you believe that this was happening and this fight scene was a real fight scene until the ending. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, it doesn't actually look terrible either. The CGI does look good. It's just, you can tell that it's not real. And yeah, there's nothing you can really do about it. And I'm glad they just didn't use the portal in the sky like they do with every other superhero movie. That was great. So yeah, overall, Wonder Woman is a great origin story for the character. Chris Pine and Gal Gadot just do such a good job. They work really well together, and I loved both characters. This movie had a lot of pressure on it. You know, Batman v Superman underperformed with critics and audiences, and so did Suicide Squad and Man of Steel. So this movie had a lot of pressure. Amongst that, it was also the first ever female-driven superhero movie with a female character in the lead role. So at the same time, they had to sort of come to terms with that and make it good in that sense. And it works on every aspect. I don't really have many flaws with Wonder Woman. I walked out, massive smile on my face. All of the action scenes really were good. And everything about it I was happy with. I like the dialogue, I like the action, I like the characters. I even like the sort of ragtag group of soldiers. They don't play like the hugest part in the plot, but they're there. That photo you see in Batman v Superman, yeah, you get to see all of the characters in that photo interacting with each other and doing different things. And that was really good. I liked seeing, you know, this different part of the DCEU. It was the first period piece and the prequel to everything going on. I feel like this should have been the first one in the series, because if it was, it would have gone off with a bang and it would have started off as just such a perfect series. They could have had this, then maybe Batman v Superman, then Man of Steel, because it would have worked better that way. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I feel like they're rushing it a little bit in terms of the team-ups, but when they've got solo movies like this, if all the solo movies turn out like this movie, then I'll be more than happy. And it got me really, really excited for Justice League. And when you're watching it, you're going to think to yourself, well, the villain's not too good, and that's the case with every superhero movie. The villain sucks, and then when you actually get to the villain, it takes time. When you actually get there, you will appreciate it. So I thought I'd drop that one in, and stay tuned for my spoiler talk, because I'll be talking about the villain and all the things I said in this video that I couldn't talk about here. So stay tuned for that. I'll get that up probably by the end of the weekend. I don't really want to, you know, get it out too soon so people can't, you know, see the movie before watching the spoiler video. I don't want to spoil things by accident. That would really suck. So let me know what you think of Wonder Woman. Do you love it? Do you hate it? You probably don't hate it. Who's gonna hate this movie? It's great. But let me know what you thought of Wonder Woman. Do you think it's the best DC movie? If not, what is your favourite so far? Comment below, let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.